We have an update, major update. Black family that was being harassed by their HOA gets justice finally. Here it is.
As a black woman, I am so tired of fighting, but also as a black woman, you cannot say that people are being racist unless they call you the N-word. But the words that I will use to demonstrate and describe the story I'm about to tell you is prejudice, abuse of power, and discriminative. My name is Ariel. I busted my ass for the last 5 years to buy a home for my children as a single mother of 5. And there is a woman who is filing a complaint on my 5-year-old, who's also the same woman who sits at the head of the HOA, who does not like my 5-year-old touching a tree. She decided to take legal action, and this is what I'm doing today to fight it. The place we're going is to the way to kill her with kindness. Thank you so much.
You're gonna either feed it through that machine or you can.
And if I need to make like 50 copies, that is fine? Or what are you thinking?
Yeah, no more than 100.
Make copies to give to every neighbor.
Shoot an email. You can go to our website again. Type in on the bottom, scroll all the way to the bottom till you see the site.
Okay.
You're gonna type in social worker.
Okay, the bottom. Okay, and I'll send her an email. And
yeah, first one will be library social workers. It's legal forms
Yeah.
that you'll need for anything. And they kind of give you the topic about it.
Thank you so much.
So
that was so hard and embarrassing because everyone can kind of see what you're printing and see that it says lawyer and HOA, but the two ladies at the front were so helpful. They helped me with a lot of Orange County resources to lawyers, including family law and HOA lawyers, and they gave me their contact numbers. I'm going to call them on Monday, but now I have all 50 packets of the legal, I guess, suit she's trying to start, a photo of my son in the tree, a photo of my family, and then a photo of everyone else's garbage cans that don't seem to get fines or regulations besides mine in the comparison. This is not to get my neighbors in trouble. This is to just make everyone aware what our HOA money is being spent and used for. And I may lose, but I'm gonna go down fighting, and I have no problem paying my fines and still using my voice to say this is 100% unconstitutional and not right. So no matter how emotionally drained and sad I am, I have to keep going, and there's no better day than Sunday, which is today, to reach people at home. So we're gonna go door to door and hand out the papers to everyone in my neighborhood, excluding the HOA lady's house, even though I know I'm gonna bump into a few board members along the way because it says that 3 of the board members live in the neighborhood. So we're missing 1, but we're gonna hit 2. This is just to put everyone on notice. HOA laws can only be pushed through, fulfilled, and seeking fines as long as they are spread out equally amongst everyone. Maybe if everyone sees that, hey, my garbage can is on that list and I don't get fined, maybe someone will say it's not right to continuously fine the black single mom that lives in the back because you don't like her 5-year-old for touching the tree.
Hi guys, my name is Kelvin and you're welcome back to the channel. Look, I need you to sit with this for a second. A 5-year-old black boy waiting for the school bus, climbing a tree, a magnolia tree that belongs to the whole neighborhood. And for that, his mother gets a formal legal notice from the HOA's attorney calling her child a public nuisance, demanding nearly $400 in attorney fees, warning her of further action if she doesn't fall in line. No prior formal warning, no documented damage to the tree, no conversation with her as the parent first. Just a letter treating a kindergartner like a threat to property values. This happened in Orange County, Florida, in the River Chase community under the University Pines Property Owners Association. The mother's name is Ariel Barner, single mom of 5, first-time homeowner, black woman, and the complaint, according to her, came from a white neighbor who had been filming her son from the window while he waited for the bus. Now, pause. If that same 5-year-old had been white, would the HOA have hired a lawyer over a child swinging from a branch? Would they have labeled him a noxious or offensive activity? Would they have sent his mother a bill for the privilege of being scolded? We already know the answer, and that answer is why this story hits so hard, because it is not really about a tree. It is about who gets to be a child in this country, and who gets treated like a problem the moment they step outside. That's what we're talking about today.
I know everyone is saying to fight, but I can't express to you how tired my soul is. I just want to start by saying that I know that I'm black. And I know a lot of you are going to say that black people don't belong in HOA communities. I haven't slept in days. At least not well. Today is October 2nd, 2025, and I have 12 days to respond. If you're new here, my name is Ariel. I bought my first home as a single mother of 5, and my HOA as of today is seeking to start legal action against my 5-year-old for touching a tree and touching a rock. They listed him under Article 7, Section 8 of the HOA and listed him to the neighborhood as a public annoyance and public nuisance to the neighborhood. So maybe call me ignorant or maybe call me naive, but I have never experienced such hatred and isolation over a child in a community. To list him as a public annoyance and nuisance when in Article 7 is usually reserved for loud parties, out of control noise complaints, or excessive parking. Not a human, not a child, for touching a tree. The head of my HOA is the only lady who is seeking this complaint. She is the only person who is recording my child every day at his public bus stop. There is no damage to the tree, nor is he on video or record throwing a rock. She does have video of him touching the branches of the tree. She wakes up every morning at 7:30 a.m. with no children, records my child at a public bus stop for Orange County Public Schools from inside her home window. I know everyone is saying to fight, but I hope you all understand how exhausted my soul is. On Sunday, I walked my 5-year-old son to 63 houses. We walked with flowers to 63 houses in my neighborhood to show them the lawsuit that our HOA money is being used to pursue on a 5-year-old and to ask them, A, is my son Owen a public nuisance? B, no, Owen is not a public nuisance. Or C, I do not know who Owen is. So I felt like if the neighborhood was going to list my child as a public nuisance or public annoyance to the area, I might as well ask them as the mother, what did my son do? I don't know how any of this is gonna go, so I have a meeting today with my real estate agent to see how much money I would lose, how much I would fall behind if I list my house on the market and just get out. It was so embarrassing walking my child to every door. I'm gonna read my policy, CCRS. I'm going to read the bylaws, the HOA guidelines for my area, how the board works, rules and regulations that you have to use before pursuing legal action against the homeowner. And I'm gonna find out how she is able to do this off of one voice. As a Black woman, I am so tired of fighting. Whoever opens the door, so you give the flower to, okay?
So sorry.
You don't have to say so sorry, okay? Have I spoken to my 5-year-old? Yes. Have I told him not to do it anymore? Also, yes, but he's 5, which means he has to go the next 18 years catching the bus stop at that stop across the street from her house where she's recording him from her window. Tree is not in anyone's yard. The tree is on public property of the neighborhood. Do we have an HOA? Yes. But does the HOA say anything about kids and trees and climbing or anything? No. She's trying to twist Article 8 to be specific for this situation, and that exaggeration of the truth is also illegal. If it's not in there word for word for me to abide by, and as well as my neighbors, then you cannot expand or overreach law just so it fits your depiction of what's going on. So along with these letters, and I'm going to grab some flowers from Publix, and so this Sunday, there are some people we're not going to get to because they're either not going to be home or it's bad timing, and we're going to leave every letter with a flower on every doorstep and ask to be treated fairly. So we spent $22 at the public library printing all of our legal forms, and now we are at my local Publix. They usually do 3 for $12 bouquet of flowers, so maybe if I get 8 bouquets and break that down into 1 rose per house, hopefully it can work. So let's see what we can find. The flowers are secured. Sad fact, I've never even bought flowers for myself, but I'm buying them for neighbors not to kick out my 5-year-old. Thank you so much. You too. Starting to get nervous. What I'm doing is not wrong, and I have a disclaimer on the bottom of every letter so she doesn't state that I'm soliciting, but A, half of this is super embarrassing, and B, I know half of them know her, and half of them are beyond her side, and half the people are scared of the HOA and don't want to say anything. So all I can do is hope to make a difference and defend my son in the process. Again, I'm gonna pay the fine that she wants me to pay for her attorney fees to sue me and then have to counter sue. I don't know. It's a 5-year-old and a fucking tree. And everything that she wrote in that letter is one-sided in just her opinion. And that's mainly why it's really getting under my skin, is that an HOA is supposed to speak for everyone. An HOA is supposed to be for the community. So I wonder how much the community knows. So that's why I'm really doing this. I don't understand how there's no breach of power or what's the steps actually report, because she's the same accuser, reporter, and filer. And I guess no one sees a problem with that. I guess it's her way or no way, so I have to now kiss the ass of the racist white woman in my neighborhood for the rest of my life because I have a 30-year mortgage, or I pay my fines and I fight. My plan is to get on the board and make sure that everyone is treated fairly, not just the people that she thinks are cool, and give her banana bread and go to her book club.
We have an update. Put it up full mass. In an update according to Atlanta Black Star, a Florida mother is claiming victory after her neighborhood's HOA labeled her 5-year-old son a public nuisance for touching a tree. Ariel Barner received a legal notice last year accusing her 5-year-old son, Owen, of violating community rules by swinging from a tree near his bus stop in the River Chase community in Orange County, Florida. Barner confirmed over the weekend that the case had been dismissed months later. Here's the recap. So nearly a year ago, University Pines Property Owners Association, that's the neighborhood HOA, sent Ms. Barner a letter. That letter accused her of violating rules by allowing her son to climb the tree. The notice alleged Owen violated a regulation stating that, quote, no noxious or offensive activity shall be conducted or permitted to exist upon any lot or in any dwelling unit, or nor shall anything be done or permitted to exist on any lot or any dwelling unit that may be or may become an annoyance or private or public nuisance, end quote, the HOA. That's extremely ambiguous wording. Okay, may or may not, public or private, anything that could potentially is written that way on purpose. So the HOA justified his actions because of this by stating it did not want to be liable for any injuries if Owen were to fall from the tree. So the organization's attorney, Tanel Shipwash, said the HOA's intention was to ensure compliance with community rules. Barnes told Fox 35 that she had just moved into the community. The mother of 5 said she was shocked by the legal complaint, which also asked for $382.16 to cover the lawyer's involvement in this. Barner, a black woman, believes the matter was directly tied to prejudice, abuse of power, and discrimination. She claims her white neighbor, who happens to be the head of the HOA, filed a complaint that resulted in the legal notice. She said the neighbor would film her son swinging on the tree near his bus stop. Barner posted multiple legal documents, including the complaint filed by the HOA. They included several comments from neighbors supporting her son. Quote, "This is very sad. You need to find something else to do besides messing with children," one neighbor wrote about the HOA complaint. Another quote, "I wonder if he were a little white boy, if we would be having the same convo. This goes to show racism is alive and well in my neighborhood," end quote. Another quote, "As someone who has taught elementary and middle school for 26 years, your son is just being a kid," end quote, another sympathetic neighbor wrote. In the end, Barner said her family came out on top. She said, "My family was able to obtain an attorney and fight hard. Now I'm happy to say that everything the HOA tried to label my son, and even the money they were requiring, has been ceased and closed." End quote. Good job. Barner said Atlanta Black Star reached out to Barner and the HOA's attorney to ask for the specifics of how the case reached its conclusion, but no response yet. Barner would post a video of her son finally being able to play freely in their neighborhood. No nuisance. It took national press coverage, an attorney, and legal compliance in order for Miss Barner and her 5-year-old to have justice. Big ups also to the community members who stood by this 5-year-old and the mother.
Let's be clear about what actually happened. Ariel Barner's then 5-year-old son, Owen, was doing what children have done for generations, playing near the bus stop on common property, climbing, swinging, being a kid. The HOA claimed he might have thrown rocks and that the tree posed a liability risk if he fell. Their attorney later said informal attempts at resolution had failed and that the letter was mainly about compliance. But Ariel says there was no real prior conversation with her. Just filming, just yelling at children, just a sudden formal legal notice that framed her black son as a neighborhood nuisance and demanded money. That is not community standards. That is power flexing. HOAs across this country have become little private governments with the ability to fine, threaten, and harass homeowners. And when those governments are majority white and the homeowner is a black single mother, the rules that are supposedly about annoyance and nuisance suddenly get applied with surgical precision to black children. Think about the language. Noxious or offensive activity may become an annoyance or private or public nuisance. That language is usually reserved for loud parties, chronic noise, or genuine safety hazards. Stretching it to cover a 5-year-old in a tree is not neutral enforcement. It is racialized enforcement. It is the same instinct that turns black kids into suspects for existing in public space. And let's not pretend this is isolated. Black families have been telling this story for decades. The neighbor who calls the police on children playing, the HOA that suddenly cares about rules the moment a black family moves in, the surveillance that starts the second black children are visible. Ariel said the woman had been filming her son from her window while he waited for the bus. That is not neighborly concern. That is monitoring. That is the soft version of the same logic that has always treated black presence as a threat. Ariel did what so many black mothers are forced to do. She went public. She posted the documents. She walked door to door with flowers and packets asking her actual neighbors whether they considered her son a nuisance. She got support. She got people saying out loud what many were thinking. Would this have happened to a white child? The story went viral. Local news, national attention. Atlanta Black Star. Commentary shows. She got a lawyer. And months later, by around August of this year, the matter was dropped. The nuisance labeling gone, the fee demand gone, that is a win. But it should never have been necessary. A 5-year-old should not need a national spotlight and legal counsel to be allowed to climb a tree near his bus stop. A black mother should not have to become a public figure just to protect her child from being officially labeled a problem. This is what structural racism looks like when it wears a polo shirt and lives in a planned community. It doesn't always come with a burning cross. Sometimes it comes with a certified letter and a bill for attorney's fees. Sometimes it comes with the quiet certainty that the rules will be enforced differently depending on whose child is playing. And the deeper issue is this. America still has not decided that black children get to be children. We still treat their play as potential disorder. We still treat their presence as something that needs managing. We still allow private associations to act as racial gatekeepers under the polite language of community standards. Ariel Barner fought back. She refused to let her son be reduced to a nuisance. She organized her neighbors. She forced the HOA to back down. That is power. That is resistance. That is what happens when a black mother decides she will not absorb the insult in silence. But every time we celebrate a victory like this, we also have to ask, how many families never get the platform? How many single mothers just pay the fine and tell their kids to stay inside? How many black children learn early that the neighborhood is watching them differently? This was never about a magnolia tree. It was about who belongs, who is allowed to take up space, and who gets turned into a problem the moment they act like they own the place they live in. Ariel Barner and her son won this round. The letter is gone. The fees are gone. Owen gets to play again. But the system that made that letter possible is still standing. So the next time someone tells you racism is over, or that HOAs are just about keeping the grass cut, Remember the 5-year-old in the tree. Remember the legal notice. Remember the demand for nearly $400. And ask yourself, whose children get to be free and whose children get policed for existing? That's the real question. I'll see you in the next one.